ready.
One.
Oh my gosh.
Should have been ready.
Well,
Oh wait, I wanted to do opening up. I wanted to be Regina Hall.
You want to be who?
Regina Hall.
Oh.
Am I pretty?
You're not quite. You gotta put your face more. There you go.
Pretty?
Wow.
I'm the pretty one. I can hear you, Kevin. I can hear you.
I watched me and Bay watched Little the other day.
Oh, I can't get
That movie was it was okay. I was expecting
Watch what?
Little.
It definitely had its funny moments.
What's that?
The black version of Big.
Pretty much.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
With the girl from Blackish in it. And
Yeah.
The girl from Blackish.
Marcy Martin. I think
Yeah, she's a producer.
Marcy
and
Martin.
director.
Oh no, I haven't seen it. I have not seen it yet.
it was okay.
You know the vibes. Come on in here.
I'll watch what's his face? Yeah, I heard it was
Ashakina.
What's up?
What up? What up? Did you say come on in the room?
I did.
Come on in the room.
Almost did not tag Darnell and almost tagged somebody else.
Ooh.
On accident.
Yet again.
I'm tired.
Get it together.
Vicky says hello, Darnell.
Hey, I'm Vicky.
Hi.
All right, let me pull this docket up real quick.
Did you tag us yet? Can I look for it?
Yeah, I tagged you. I'm about to say it should be in there.
Sorry, I deleted my Facebook app because it just everything got to be too much. So.
Nah, you just turn off. Actually, I haven't done that. I didn't even turn off notifications yet.
Matthew, why is your dog
All right.
What did you say?
Your dog is whimpering in the background. I can hear her.
Really? I can't even hear that.
Behind me.
Oh, bro, what kind of ears is that?
He's okay. He's chilling.
What?
It wasn't important. It's fine.
All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Lab Podcast, a podcast with four friends. My name is Aaron.
I'm Camille.
It's really
I'm
always
SCOTUS because they're doing their job. Supreme Court of the United States.
And I'm Matt. I have this huge glare on my face. Hold on.
It's really always just y'all two that has that awkward delay. Camille knows to always go right after me.
Right.
And then y'all
I,
each other.
I go last every single time. It's Darnell that pauses. I'm waiting.
Well, Darnell,
like
jump
it's something
in
new.
right after Camille. Just jump on in it. Just jump.
It's a dramatic.
This is like our
pause.
20th episode.
It's not dramatic. It's awkward.
It's a dramatic pause.
Well, how y'all doing this? How y'all been this week? What's new? How y'all doing?
So I'm just happy that our government parts of our government is working. The Supreme Court of the United States have had some very big decisions come across the table.
I meant your personal life.
They had the issues with
Like
healthcare for people in the LGBTQ community and DACA recipients, and so everybody's safe. That's what I'm happy.
That's
about.
all right.
Can I add a side note?
That's not what I'm
sorry.
How you been with your update?
Is anyone else's screen flashing?
Flashing?
It was flashing at first. Our thing. Oh, okay.
No.
I just wasn't sure if anyone else had that
Y'all
problem.
all right on the live? Y'all here on the live? I see 5 people. Y'all all right in the live?
I saw it before we went live.
Yeah, I ain't seen that.
Okay, all right.
We're good.
Great.
Blind.
Sorry.
Let me get this together.
Camille,
Are you ready to start? Because y'all acting like y'all still need to get yourselves together.
I didn't have a glare on my face before, but the sun
started moving. Camille, how's your week been? You good?
Pretty good. My store opened, but I can't go.
When do you go back? Do they tell you yet?
No, I don't know. So business is good. So I'm still at home, so people want to hang out with me. I mean, not really, but we can still FaceTime each other.
Yeah.
What's up, Jay?
Hey,
what up, Galen? What it do?
Run you off.
What? My week's been good. This week has been actually my first week back in the office at work. I was working from home.
Ooh.
And in preparation of the world opening back up, they called back some people into the office. So I've been back this week. But it's been pretty chill. We'll say one thing real quick. So I've been having to wear this mask, right? Mm-hmm. I'll say it's been a blessing to not have to wear it when I was home.
Yeah,
I recognize that blessing and I appreciated it. But now that I have to wear it in my head, I'm like, I don't know how people think they about to come to a gym and work out with a mask on, because I'll be walking up and down some steps with this mask on and feel like I'm about to die.
About to pass out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you gonna work out with a mask on? But that's neither here nor there. I just noticed this today. Oh, also another great thing. My little brother graduated from high school today.
That was
a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, I feel so old.
Well, if the shoe fits.
How was the ceremony?
The ceremony was actually pretty fast. They did like a thing, and then they're doing a live ceremony like virtually when we get home. I think they're watching that now. I'm gonna watch it later. But it was cool. It was quick. Like pretty much every kid got like about 2 cars. You drove past, the kid hopped out. You didn't even really get to see the kid get the diploma or nothing because they told you to swing around and he'll get in the car later. And then, but hey, it was something. It was better than what they was going to do. At first, they was like, hey, everything virtual. We just going to drop off your diploma outside the door, ding dong ditch, and dip out. So at least he got to be in the gown for a hot minute.
Ding dong ditch. I can't.
So proud of him.
We got a lot on the docket today, y'all. I'm just let y'all know. It's a lot on the docket. It's a wide range of topics. We touching on a lot. We got some serious racial stuff. We got some funny social media stuff. And we're just going to kick off with the curse and the blessings of slavery. Did y'all know white privilege is now called white blessings?
I can't.
Over it.
Let's just
I can't do it. I'm going to head out.
Play the video.
I'm not to release this thing. Bye.
Right.
Let me play the video. Let me play the video for the people.
I feel like on the inside of the church, we're fighting this historical context you talk about. In other words, we love the blessing of the cross, but we don't love to sit in it and realize this is what God's asking me to do, to die to myself and to live for him, whatever context that's going to look like for me. But I want to flip that upside down, because I think the other side of it is true with our nation's history. We understand the curse that was slavery, white people do, and we say that was bad, but we miss the blessing of slavery, that it actually built up the framework for the world that white people live in and lived in. And so a lot of people call this white privilege, and when you say those 2 words, it just is like a fuse goes off for a lot of white people, because they don't want somebody telling them to check their privilege. And so I know that you and I both have struggled in these days with, hey, if the phrase is the trip up, let's get over the phrase and let's get down to the heart. Sure. Let's get down to what then do you want to call it. And I think maybe the great thing for me is to call it white blessing, that I'm living in the blessing of the curse that happened generationally, that allowed me to grow up in Atlanta. And you talk about being 57. If you were 57, I can't imagine being that old then and being 57. But I've said to our church, Lecrae, a few weeks ago, when I was born, the day I was born on Boulevard at Georgia Baptist Hospital in 1958, Black people did not have equal rights in this city. Not my grandparents' lifetime or their lifetime, in my lifetime. This is right.
So that's pretty much the whole gist of it.
I just feel like
y'all didn't know it wasn't called white privilege no more. We call it a white blessings.
I feel like he just did a lot of talking. Didn't really say anything because it was kind of missed on what the actual point was and like where you were trying to go with that. I don't know. I don't know if it was just me, but I was a little lost.
You know what's crazy? Go ahead, Camille.
Oh no, go ahead.
When I saw this, the first thing I thought of, right? He was saying people always get hung up on the phrase white privilege, and let's call it white blessing because I am blessed to live in the curse that was. And I'm like, that is literally what we've been trying to say white privilege has been all this time. It is the privilege to have been born white and be privileged to benefit from what has happened all this time. He literally said the same thing. It's literally what it is what he was saying.
So it's a blessing that your car got stolen. It wasn't a bad thing. It was a blessing.
Let's bless somebody else.
Instead of it being stolen, it was blessed on somebody else.
Somebody else more than I did.
Right.
I just didn't like the point because I didn't hear this when we were playing this before we started this. But he was referring to how we are blessed by the sacrifice of the cross.
Yes, that connection don't make sense neither.
I think that he has to remember that.
All right, I'm gonna hold it in.
That Jesus, there was a plan of salvation from the time that Adam and Eve fell.
Yes,
and Jesus knew his purpose since that moment. So to compare that to that and to how African people who did not ask for this were enslaved, and their blood, sweat, and tears and bodies were pretty much the building blocks of this country. For him to say that we didn't know this, we didn't know how blessed we were because of this curse. Black people knew this for a long time. We knew that we built our capitals. We knew that because of our country's strong economics was because it was built off of slave economics. Freeness. Exactly. So we do this, but don't call it a blessing. You're privileged to live in this, and you should recognize that privilege, weaponize that privilege to help the people that have enabled you to have that privilege.
Mm-hmm.
So we should also tell them that the person he was talking to, for those who may not know, is Lecrae, which is a Christian rapper.
And that's also a pastor. The white guy is a pastor. I just want to point that out as well.
Really?
Right, and Lecrae responded to him out off camera. He responded to him about it, which I just want to know what he said, and then also the pastor's response to what he said, because I'm very curious as to whether, because sometimes I will, to play devil's advocate, unfortunately, I would say that some people are that ignorant. Like, just people are that ignorant to the things that they say and do. So and I say that to say, I'm curious to whether it was coming from ignorance or whether he truly just thinks that it's,
it's bad if it's either or.
This is the issue I had.
It was good. I'm just saying.
I agree. This is the issue I had with Lecrae saying he spoke to him off camera afterwards, because these past couple of weeks we've seen this outcry from the Black community, and we've all heard the phrase your silence is violence, or your silence is deadly. You know what I mean? Specifically in that instance, speaking to our white counterparts, right?
Yeah.
My thought process is we can't expect or demand or I'll say demand white people to speak up and out against, when they hear something wild at the dinner table or they hear somebody saying something wild.
Yeah.
If we're not even going to ourselves, when we hear something wild, be like, ho, what you saying? Like, no, let's address this now. And I can get Lecrae said afterwards he was shocked in the moment and this, that, and the third. And I can get that. But my thing is, we can't have just spent the last 2 weeks saying white silence is violence. And then you get on this platform, you saying wanted it, like he's supposed to be a leader in the community or whatever, but then not say nothing himself when he has that opportunity to do what he's literally been asking white people to do for the last 3 weeks.
That's why it bothered me the most, because in his response, he was like, I obviously was upset about it. I obviously spoke to him.
It wasn't obvious.
I know that wasn't obvious to me at all, because you see there with him like nodding his head like, wow, this guy's really making some sense. So if you're really that upset about it, why didn't you say something like right then in the
moment?
Right.
So let me say this in defense of Lecrae, playing devil's advocate for him. Being in a place like, because I still work with the public because my job is essential, and it's also retail at the same time. So I'm interacting with the public on a consistent basis. I do have customers who come in who are white, who, they because they see me, and they probably know that I've been saying stuff, and they know what's happening in this community. they make comments about certain things. Sometimes I don't feel like I have the liberty to rebuff or give a rebuttal for their crazy remarks.
Well,
time and place.
You're right.
That's what you're trying to say.
And that's time and place. He was on a forum meant for those conversations. That forum, that video, that was meant specifically.
Was invited there.
But in his defense, you're dealing with two probably. I'm assuming the other white man in the video was a pastor as well.
They both were. They both were pastors.
You don't have any backup with you. And let me say this: a lot of
if you come
to an event to talk about that type of thing, you should be able to bring it up.
Right.
And nobody said that he had to cuss them out and get all loud and be all rude and go crazy. No, just educate them.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's what we've been asking white people to do for these last 2 weeks. I've seen it on everybody's story. I've seen everybody post it. White silence is violence. People are saying if I haven't seen you post Black Lives Matter, even if it's just a simple post, we're not even friends no more. I've seen people go that far. If you asking people to stand up to some people, we asking people to stand up to their family members, their uncles, their aunts, their grandmoms, their grandpops, who old and wild. We asking them to do all of that. But Lecrae can't say something on that platform. The point of that platform was to have a race relation conversation.
Has that been his narrative the entire time? Is that like he wanted white people to stand up? Like, is that what you're saying?
I've been seeing what he's been posting. I follow him.
I just want to
I was like, bro, you bugging.
I think that it's when you bring in the religious element, it gets very foggy on how to defend yourself. And so I can understand why in that moment he wasn't sure what to say. I'm not sure what I would do in that moment. I think that right now we're in over. I probably would tell them all.
Exactly.
But
you know what you would do.
No.
Even something as simple as that was wrong.
But
like that's not it.
That would have been enough. That was wrong. That was messed up for you to say.
It took me a lifetime of experiences to get to this point of where I'm able to speak up the way that I can. Because back in our CCS days, I wasn't speaking up. And I let them white people say whatever they want to say in my presence. And I didn't say nothing.
That was all of us. That was every Black person at CCS. He just stood there and took all that.
He take paychecks to speak places. He better go and learn how to speak somewhere. He collect them checks to speak. He be collecting them record deal checks. He be collecting my little streaming money when I be listening to his music on Spotify. Tunes.
Aaron, let me say this. Overall, and this is for everybody across the board, I think that we are all entering into a new territory of dialogue and trying to understand each other. And people are going to make mistakes along the way. We have to give people room enough to make mistakes. Lecrae made a mistake. He should have spoke up in the moment. He didn't. Hopefully next time, if he has the opportunity, he'll be able to poignantly say, that ain't right. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound good. Don't say it anymore.
All right.
Do you have any comments from people?
We're all
Aaron?
We're all
no, not yet.
We're all trying to find our voice in this moment and to be able to eloquently put our ideas out there. I think that him as a white pastor, he knew better than to say that. Because he's not the first one.
I don't know if he did.
But I literally just said, wait a minute. But that was my point though, is saying that's what my point is in saying is that was it ignorance or was it where he actually knew what he was saying, he understood what he was saying, and he didn't care.
Let me say this. I have seen a lot of white pastors now have open dialogues with, usually it's Black leaders in their own congregation, about what's happening in the state of our country and in the state of race relations in this country.
Mm-hmm.
All of their stances was, I'm going to sit back and listen to what y'all have to say. I'm going to sit and listen to your experiences. That pastor was on the offense and the defense. And he knew that he there's no possible way that him saying we should call it white blessing. I don't know how he would think in his God-loving, Christ-loving mind.
You would be surprised. That's what I'm saying. Like, you would be very surprised that people, it is possible. I know it's hard to believe, but it is possible that people can be that ignorant.
And that's dangerous. That's dangerous. And
I didn't say it wasn't. I'm just saying.
All his black members need to leave. Walk out. Stop paying your tithes. I'm gonna tell you
right now. I think you're going to see a lot of black people that are in predominantly white churches right now that are going to end up leaving their church.
And I'm going to send you a clip. There's a pastor.
You see that pastor that said something on Watch last year? That said on Watch.
Y'all.
I love YPJ.
I seen it.
Stay on track.
He ran it. That's what I was referring to. He ran it down, and it's coming to pass.
Look up Pastor YPJ, people.
Look up Pastor YPJ on December his watch night service, his New Year's Eve service going into this year, and
let me say this.
And think about what's going on.
YPJ stands for youth pastor because that's what he was known for. So technically his name is Pastor Youth Pastor, but that was just a joke. But anyway, he was accurate. He's spot on. He said white people going to be leaving these churches. We're starting to see racists exposed. And right now is not a time for you to be ignorant. If you think that if you're going to have a platform like that, do your research. Do your research. Talk to your black friends. Be like, is it all right if I say this? I want to know. Don't be going on no platforms being ignorant. That's all I'm going to tell white people who are trying to have conversations and dialogue like that. Don't be going ignorant. Learn something.
Well, I'm gonna move us along to the next topic. It might be a little lighter. I don't really know if it's going to be a lighter.
It is, I guess.
Not how I'm putting something right now.
Well, actually, no. I almost skipped it. This one is a slightly lighter topic. So y'all know B. Simone. You know, my boyfriend, that woman, B. Simone, Instagram sensation, all over Twitter.
Do Camille.
Baby girl.
Yeah. Right. So B. Simone's been under a lot of flack from the internet lately. First off, last week she said she was on a live with Nick Cannon. I don't know. I don't think it was a live. It was his radio show with Nick Cannon. Basically saying she can't be with a 9-to-5 guy. She has to be with an entrepreneur. And there's nothing wrong with preferences, but the way I don't have the clip, but the way she said it, it was kind of making herself sound like she's better than 9-to-5.
Right. It just came off like very like.
She did a whole little rant about it.
A whole rant, and the world for that. And then
she want a drug dealer. That's
like 3-4 days later, if you don't know, she's been selling a book for the last couple of months called Manifest Yourself. It's kind of like a manifestation, self-help, talk yourself into a better life book with some activities and journal entry type things that you can do to try to get your thoughts together, right? So two videos went viral of people showing the book that they received in the mail from B. Simone. And it literally looked like you might have walked into your office printer, stole some paper, and just printed it, stapled it haphazardly because it looked absolutely trash. Paper was coming out. You know how you have a book that's made bad and like where the seam is just like
the binding
come out. Yeah, like
it
was
halfway off and like
exactly
like our textbooks in school.
I mean, yeah, basically. Like you know how the pages was printed, but the text was like skewed a little off. It wasn't straight. Like it was trash. And then to add to it, a couple of publishers, a couple of other creatives in the space were like, "Hey, yo, this is like my published work. Like this is my work that I've already published. You just copied and pasted it. Like, what are you doing?" And then so people killing her. One, the 9-to-5. The book is trashed. Now the book is plagiarized. Then she comes out with a video saying, my team did it. I wasn't aware of it. I trusted my team. They betrayed my trust. This is a lot of thens. And then somebody replied to that video of her saying, my team betrayed me, to saying, but wait, wasn't it you before the book came out? So before the book came out, she's like, I got to push the book back a week because it's not ready yet, because I want to make sure that I personally pour my heart and soul into this book, and I personally want to make sure this book is perfect. So which is it? Did you personally make the book, or did you lie to say you personally made the book and you just copyrighted it and plagiarized everything?
Oh.
I feel like
I personally took the time to personally copy this information, to personally put it in my book for y'all. Personally.
She definitely went wrong a couple of places, but I'd say one of the biggest ones is like there's nothing wrong with using a ghostwriter. Like some people want to write books, they're not the best writer, but they have stories to tell. Whatever.
Ghostwriters.
But if you're going to use a ghostwriter, just own it. Just say, yes, I'm writing this book. But no, you're going to be like, oh yeah, this is all personally me. I poured my heart into it, like whatever. And then when it comes out, this is plagiarized. Like, you didn't do anything. Oh no, it wasn't me. You say you want to throw the rock and hide your hands, but now you're in the mess even more.
You're old.
I feel like just own it. Like, that's my thing. Is that I always say this.
Hold on.
What?
Matt, how old are you? Throw the rock and hide your hands?
I like that saying.
You is old.
I've never heard of that.
Never in my life have I heard that. You is 87
Really?
years old. Continue, Camille.
That's a good saying. It's very fitting in this life sometimes.
It is.
Okay. Dang, y'all know my memory's not good. Hold on. Hold on. No, wait. I'm gonna get it. So, nope. All right, just come back to me.
So
Come
my
back.
thing is, I understand the desire to support, especially us being Black folks, support other Black people, but I'm not going to be supporting no plagiarists. I mean, you have to come up with your own original content, your own original ideas.
Right.
If you are going to copy, you have to give credit where credit is due. We all, most of us went to college. We gotta be on our P's and Q's.
Before college, you learn that, and
listen, I belong to a Facebook group called Black Businesses in New Jersey, and we're supporting each other in this moment. But at the same time, I ain't gonna be supporting no mess, and that's a mess B. Simone did, and she needs some help. She needs to get a better team.
Right.
What?
Sorry, continue.
She needs to get a better team. She needs to get better people surrounding her so that she's not making these stupid mistakes. Now, let me say this as a caveat. I like her reality show on the Zeus Network where she's looking for love.
You've seen that?
It's funny as heck. The first episode is on YouTube. I recommend all y'all watch it.
I'm about to say, how you even get access to the Zeus Network? I saw the Zeus Network. I was like, I don't even know. Is this an app? I don't know how to even find it.
It seems like it's just for a lot of Instagram people. It is. Because there's somebody else.
It's made by
because Black China was like the one that like her show was like the first big one on there. That's where that clip comes from. And
Jocelyn had a show on there too.
Oh yeah, Jocelyn too.
So I remember what I was gonna say. So I was gonna say was that like my thing is that if you say something or if you do something, own it.
Yeah.
Just own it. Because I think people have way more respect for you if you say, you know what, guys, I wanted it to be perfect. I saw these ideas. I thought it would be great for my book. Right. And my bad. I made the mistake of maybe making it word for word. But like, if it was a mistake, own it. And I feel like people, like I said, people will have way more respect for you owning up to your mistake and apologizing for it than trying to point the finger at someone else. Because now it's like people now really don't believe you.
Right.
Like, because now you're contradicting yourself as opposed to just taking ownership, taking that L, and people will forgive you eventually. As opposed to being like, well, now I don't trust anything that you put out.
Baby girl.
I had to grab my charger. Hold on, I'm sorry.
One job.
He looked like he was in a snowstorm for a second there.
I was gonna say that.
That looked crazy for half a second.
I was like, what is happening?
So, listen, I don't want this to make this seem like, I'm just gonna play this next clip. I'm not even gonna get this.
You're gonna play the clip.
It's only 30 seconds, and I really want to see what y'all opinions are on it. This clip, Camille.
This clip. Okay.
Let me know what y'all think about this. We'll have a discussion afterwards. Ow.
If the food is prepared, I'm getting them to make my man a plate. He has arms, he has legs, but that is my man. I am going to make him a plate because that's what I like to do. That's how I was raised. On the flip side of that, ladies, if you are over your man's relative's house and the food is made and you don't get up to make his plate, that's weak as hell to me. Why? Because I want my man's mama, sister, auntie, cousin, whoever to look at me and be like, damn, that's a dope ass chick. Damn, she gonna take care of my brother, son, whoever. What is wrong with y'all? We're gonna leave it at this.
Well, period.
Baby girl.
I just feel like it needed that at the end.
I feel like I was kind of, on the same page. I got what she was saying when she was like, I do it because it's what I want to do. It makes me happy in relationship. Fine. But when she started getting into like pretty much that she's doing it to look good for the family and everything like that, then I was kind of like, it's a little extra then. if you're not doing it just because it makes you feel good and make what you want it to help improve your relationship, then it's just like you're doing it for a gold star, you know?
Yeah.
Matt, that was exactly my thoughts as well. But I'll add one more thing. If someone else doesn't want to do it, why is she telling them to be? Why is she trying to get on people who don't want to do it? It should just be, if you want to do it, you do it. If you don't, you don't.
Right.
Look, I didn't even really realize this was a thing until like I seen this. I was like, this is an issue. People, I make my own play. I don't think twice about it. Don't make me no never mind. You ain't gonna, because listen, you ain't gonna know what I want my play anyway. And also,
they're supposed to ask you.
Listen, the gold star part that Matt was talking about, I feel like there's way more to finding a partner and for that person's family to think you're a great partner for their brother, cousin, son, whatever, then whether or not you made him a play, if that's the only part that makes them think that, or if they were on the cusp of, well, I don't really know how she is, and then they see that, you ain't it, period, anyway. Y'all ain't meant to be together.
I mean, I've had a mixture in my life where, like, my grandmother, she made my grandfather's plate all the time.
It's a very old school.
But then my mom and my dad didn't really make my dad's plate all that often. And then for me, like, in my relationship, I mean, I do it sometimes, but it's not like he's like, you got to make my plate.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, I just think it's like, if I'm there and in the kitchen and the food's ready and I just want to, or if I make it for him, I'm just going to make his plate. But like, it's not like he, was like, if you don't make my plate, it's a problem. It's a wrap. You know?
I just thought it was like a very Southern thing. Cause like growing up, going to like dinners with my great grandmother who was straight from the South, she had a rule where she did not want men in the kitchen, period. Like you did not walk in there if you were and the women would go around, they would say, this is in the kitchen, what do you want on your plate? And they would take our orders, they would go into the kitchen, get us what we want, got our drinks for us, things of that nature. And all the kids too, because the kids weren't allowed in the kitchen either. I was always
nobody.
The kitchen was awful.
Nobody, like
one time somebody brought a significant other to the house and they went into the kitchen for something, not even just to fix their plate, just to get like maybe a drink or a napkin. She went off. So that's the type of family I come from. Now, having said that, and usually at family gatherings, that's what happens as well. Having said that, we're very fiercely independent people as well. And we pride ourselves on being able to take care of ourselves. And so, like, I don't know why my great grandmother allowed me to, but like, I was like the one exception to the rule. And so I would always go in and make my plate, probably because I also could cook a little bit as well. Like I was
the favorite?
I wasn't the favorite, but I was one of the favorites.
Don't let your sister watch it.
Let my cousins fight me on that one. But like I was
let us know.
But it's just I can see where she was coming from. I think that when she tried to put it on all women that they have to do that's very antiquated and very traditional. And I think that hopefully we as a society have evolved past that and can understand that I as a male have enough cognizance to wash my hands, make my own plate, and sit down at the dinner table and enjoy myself.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
I don't
baby
know.
Girl.
I didn't like it. I'm gonna be honest. If you do it for yourself,
I didn't like the way she said it.
I didn't like the way she said it, and I didn't like the whole "if you don't do it, you trash."
I'm not trash. Okay.
It's the individual basis. It's really an individual basis thing.
Right. If you want to do it.
Plates, Aaron?
I would say, like Camille said, if she cooked the meal and we were going to eat afterwards anyway, sometimes, yeah. But a lot of times, I don't know, maybe it's just me. A lot of times I'm like, I don't want you to feel like you got to make my plate. Like, I'm just, food done, all right. I grabbed you a plate out of the cabinet. I grabbed my plate out of the cabinet. I'll pass you a plate. We make our plates together.
It's just organic. Whatever organically happens is what happens.
That's really what it is.
Honestly, like whatever just kind of flows.
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It's an organic thing.
Just be thoughtful in your relationships. That's what I would recommend. Be thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
Consider.
Do we have any comments?
Hey, Sister Jackie, how you doing, Miss Shaw?
We ain't got no comments.
It's a chill day today, Camille. It's a chill day.
It is. I was all excited. I'm like, ooh, what Matt's mom got to say, and everybody's just been quiet.
Where's your boyfriend,
today.
Camille?
He's at choir rehearsal.
Oh, he can go on the seat to put his earbuds in and listen to what we're saying.
Right,
Why
they got like 6 different. They got like 80 different services this weekend. So.
Y'all got real life church? I ain't got real life church yet.
Not yes and no, but anyway, we'll talk about that later.
So moving right along, I'm not going to play the video. It's a little long.
Thank you.
Maybe the last 30 seconds.
All right, we'll play 30 seconds of the video. The gist of this video. Look, we'll play a piece. We played a piece of every other video. We can play a piece of this one.
Yeah, just a little.
The gist of this video, this officer is upset because she went to McDonald's to get her breakfast after her night shift. It took a little while. They gave her a coffee, told her to pull forward. They told her to pull forward. Then they gave her coffee, but they didn't have any rest of the food. And this is her reaction to that moment. I'm only going to play like
the end part because that's kind of where she.
I have my window down. And that's all she hands me is a coffee. So I don't bother with the food because right now I'm too nervous to take it. It doesn't matter how many hours I...
Oh, y'all can't see it, I guess. Y'all would like to see the video, huh? Right?
I mean, okay.
There we go. Let's see Officer Karen.
It doesn't matter what I've done for anyone. Right now I'm too nervous to take a meal from McDonald's because I can't see it being made. I don't know what's going on with people nowadays, but please, just give us a break. Please, give us a break. I don't know how much more I can take. I've been in this for 15 years, and I've never, ever had such anxiety about waiting for McDonald's drive-thru food. So just have a heart, and if you see an officer, just tell them thank you. Because I don't hear thank you enough anymore.
White tears.
She doesn't hear thank you anymore. Go ahead, Camille.
I just want to say that
it is Officer Karen.
I can understand, I guess, her being an officer and feel like this is just me. I don't know. Maybe she thinks like I'm one of the good ones, but then also what confuses me is that she's like, I don't understand what's going on in the world. So now I'm like, all right, so did you try? Did you try to understand? Like, why don't you know? Is my question.
Oh, all right. You had me nervous when you started. You telling me about to give Master some soft shoe, Camille.
I wasn't. No, I mean, so I would have had she. Shut up, Aaron. I would have had she not said, I don't understand what's going on. Why don't you understand what's going on?
My thing is that first of all, she was like, 15 years I've been doing this. I've never felt, first of all, and somebody posted this on Twitter. They said, if you're having this much anxiety about coffee from McDonald's, maybe you should take a leave of absence and figure out your feelings because you shouldn't be behind a trigger. And I fully agree with that statement. But then also, at the same time, she's talking about 15 years I've been doing this and I've never felt this way. Black people have been feeling this for 400 freaking years. So how do you think we all feel, knowing that we've had this all compiled and now we have to interact in society with people who actively seek to oppress us, who actively hate the color of our skins? How do you think we feel? And I said this before we started this. You know, people are talking about the good cop, bad cop thing. I'm hearing arguments about it all the time now because now people are trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do. My thing is that as a black man, I don't know if when I'm getting pulled over by a cop or when I see a police officer in public, if they're a good cop. I don't have the liberty of taking for granted what they might feel, what they might do. For all I know, they could be a racist that just came from a KKK meeting, and I have to act as such. So I don't want to hear no more arguments about good cop, bad cop, because guess what? Racism doesn't have an identity. Nobody looks racist. Racism is just what racism is, and it's an active feeling. It's what they do. It's how they interact with people in society. You know, you have rednecks who look the most redneckinest people, but they love them some black folks, and they would punch a racist.
Got a whole black wife.
You know, you have people who are part of motor clubs wearing leather, everything, and they got a racist bone in their body. But then you have CEOs and VPs who in the middle of Central Park are telling a black man, I'm going to call the cops, I'm going to tell them that you're attacking me. Now, you don't know what racism is. So we don't have that liberty. All we know is that when we interact with people in society, there's a chance that they're going to be racist, there's a chance that they're not. So that's all I got to say.
This was very true to me, too, Darnell. And what you said makes sense. Black people have been dealing with this as soon as you're born in America as a black person, you deal with this anxiety that she feels like she is feeling. You walk into a store and you look around and it's like, ain't no black people here. They probably think I'm stealing. You walk into a classroom and ain't like, well, ain't no black people here. They probably think I'm either dumb or they think, oh, you're smart for a black person, or, oh, wow, you do so well. I can't believe you made it to this class, or, oh, wow, you're honors, or, oh, my goodness, this is amazing. Yeah. So I don't, and it's not related, but it's on my heart. So I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna talk about it.
Do it.
This woman here in this video reminds me of what I'll say is the Blue Lives Matter movement, and how that not even really a movement. The phrase that was made and similar to the All Lives Matter and opposition to the Black Lives Matter movement. Phrases that never existed until the Black Lives Matter movement came. And a lot of people who are in support of the Blue Lives Matter fail to recognize that being an officer is an occupation, not a lifestyle, not even a lifestyle. It's an occupation, not your life. Because it's your life.
You can choose.
You're black every day. Like if she went to McDonald's and her whatever she drives, Toyota Corolla and a t-shirt and jeans, no one knows she's an officer.
I can't.
No one knows
for the sake of me.
As soon as she takes all this crazy anxiety she felt like she's feeling when she's at the McDonald's, if she'd have been home first and changed, she wouldn't have had this anxiety attack.
And your food probably would have still taken long anyway.
And the food would have still taken long anyway.
Like McDonald's
is trash. I used to work at McDonald's. McDonald's trash. Food is never ready at McDonald's. We tell everybody to pull up. Oh, we have a park. This park. If you can't pull up, park. We'll find you. Like, we ain't got nothing.
Yeah. That's one thing McDonald's is not discriminated against, is that nobody gets their food right or on time.
Right.
But it shows. It just reminds you that, again, racism can pop up anywhere. I even had, and I say this at great risk, but I don't care at this point. I work with somebody.
He's reckless in this place.
I work with somebody who told me, a white young lady who told me that she came from another store where every time she saw a black person, they stole. And so when she came to our store, seeing all these black people, she was constantly thinking that they were stealing. And she still works at my job and oversees people's medication. And she still works there. So, I mean, you don't know. You got to be careful out here as a black person. And I wish I could be a part of the Blue Lives, because Blue Life, you get to take off that gear, take off the badge, and enter into society as a regular person.
And
as you said, Aaron, we don't have that liberty. I'm trying to take off this skin. Guess what? It ain't coming off.
Look, even Michael Jackson tried to take it off. He still knew he was black. So even
I'm done. Don't go there. Don't bring Michael into this. That's not even right. He did not have alopecia. Has nothing to do with your color of your skin. Darnell.
Wait.
Darnell, that does nothing to do with the color of your skin. That has nothing to do with the color of your skin.
He got the vitiligo.
First of all, that's not even. All right, you're done. You're done talking.
He got vitiligo.
You're done. That's not even how you're supposed to say it.
Right.
Working retail.
Well, y'all know black people. We pronounce different diseases, all types of stuff. We don't even say diabetes. We call it sugar.
Continue, Camille. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I give up.
Well, I'm going to move on to our next topic then. It's a little more serious. It's something that's been on my mind all week. I may be called a socialist after this, a communist. I don't really know because it's just a thought. I want to see y'all thoughts on it. If you're in the comments, let me know your thoughts on it because I'm really curious, right? So these past, once again, surrounding police brutality. Surprise, surprise.
I'm getting like motion sickness trying to deal with it.
I'm trying to ignore him. I'm just kind of blocking him out on my vision.
I need to charge my iPad. Shut up.
All right.
The thought came from when George Floyd was murdered, when Breonna Taylor was murdered, the state of Minneapolis,
Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm about to say the state that had Minneapolis. I couldn't think of the states. I was just gonna say whatever. Yeah, they then make it illegal to put put your knee on people's neck. New York, when his name is slipping me. When they choked out
Eric Garner.
Thank you. When they choked out Eric Garner, then they make it illegal for chokeholds. When Breonna Taylor gets murdered and sleeping in her bed, they make no-knock warrants illegal. And what made me think about this was there's so many states that all have different regulations and laws and rules in terms of how they train their police. And that's why you'll hear about something happening in this state that can't happen in that state and vice versa. And then after something happens, then legislators are going to make a change on the state level or local level or city level. And I've talked to even some officers who are friends of mine, and they'll talk about, like our county has really good training. We got to do X amount of hours, but that county over there, they do like half the training we do. Or, that state over there does even less than half the training that we do. And it made the idea come to me that, and honestly, I don't even think it's going to happen. I don't think states are going to let it happen. People are going to feel like the government's taking over, and I don't think it's going to happen. But do y'all think there should be some sort of countrywide level of training and level of regulations for police officers?
I definitely think so.
To a degree.
When you explained it earlier, it definitely made sense because it makes a lot more sense to me if like everybody is on the same page with something. Then it's like, okay, this one's doing this over here, this one's doing something completely different over there. But if you know like one thing that you can expect from like genuinely everywhere or like generally, I feel like that would just make things a lot more simple, quote unquote, or like run smoother overall.
I will say that the only thing would be Texas is just never having that.
That's what I said. I don't really think it's going to
happen. Already feels like their own entity anyway. Texas is not trying to be part of the United States at all ever. So I know for sure Texas is not going to agree. They just don't care.
Well, first of all, Texas belongs to Mexico if we're going to be technical.
Oh my gosh.
But
don't tell them that.
You just had to run with something that was supposed to be just.
You want to tell Texas they Mexicans? Look.
First of all, I don't know how you can have cities like San Juan and all them and not think that it's supposed
answer
to
the question, Darnell.
Oh my gosh. It's not.
All I want to say is this, is that I think that, if we're requiring training with FBI agents and other agents who enforce laws and enforce, different things in America, then to become an officer, I think that you should have a college degree. I think you should have extensive training in implicit biases, sensitivity trainings, de-escalation trainings. And then at the same time, there should be laws that are put in place to make sure that if officers are not doing that they get fired. On top of that, you talked about Breonna Taylor and how they passed that law. We still need to remember that the officers who killed her are still going free. No charges have been brought up against them. The only charges in that case is against her partner, who was defending himself because he thought that there was an intruder in the house.
Yeah.
And so I think that, it's great that we see small strides happening right now. We start to see the needle pushing. But I think that we need to, again, looking at how we do policing in America, we have to, I think, build a new house. Because even hearing about like the histories, and I still have to do research on this, But pretty much the present day police, how we have them today, it emanated from the fact that they were put there to pretty much watch over slaves and making sure that they did what they were supposed to do. And so if that is their foundation, then we need to really look at tearing up this foundation and putting in a new one and really starting something different, because how it's working right now, how it looks right now is not good. And police unions are the devil and they need to be disbanded. And that's all I'm gonna say right now.
And that was Darnell's TED Talk.
Thank you for joining me. And I said what I
had to get that off my chest because something needs to be changed. I agree. In my opinion, there needs to be some sort of nationwide way to train these officers, some standards that need to be done on a nationwide level, and more
have a degree
needs to be done. In some states, you can be a police officer faster than you can be an electrician, and I don't think that is okay.
That ain't right. And some of these police officers, they don't. And they need to know these laws that they're supposed to be enforcing, because they don't know none of these laws.
Hello.
They be making it up on the fly.
Hello.
And I said what I said.
Hello.
Come at me in the DMs.
On a lighter note, guys, tomorrow's Juneteenth.
Hey.
What y'all doing?
Is anybody doing anything for it?
I'm going to church.
Oh, y'all got a team service? That's lit.
I'm working, so.
If y'all want to go, let me know.
Fun.
So my family we were going to have celebrations, but because of the weather,
I'm about to buy some fireworks and set them off.
We were going to have celebrations, but because of the weather, it's just not going to work out. So we're going to postpone it. But I still plan to have like a little
Is it supposed to rain tomorrow?
I think so.
There's a big possibility that it will.
It's an outside service.
So we're
girl. All right. Well,
you better get your little cap. So we're gonna postpone it, but I still plan, because usually at a Juneteenth celebration you read the Emancipation Proclamation. You also talk about the histories of why we're celebrating Juneteenth, in that it wasn't even that everybody was free at the time, but it was when the last slaves heard that they were set free.
Yeah.
And so, just understanding why we're celebrating what we're celebrating, what's happening in the country, and how all of that fits into the present dialogue that we're in right now.
I didn't really know it was a holiday until I watched the Blackish episode on it. Like I knew, I definitely knew it was like a thing that people celebrated, but I didn't know how big it was.
Like Kwanzaa.
Not like Kwanzaa.
No. I mean, on the level of like people know about it, but don't really celebrate it.
Until you watch I know is I
clarify.
I just want to give a quick for some viewers who may not know. Darnell talked about what Juneteenth was and how it was. So just to give some dates and how wild this was, and ironically, once again, it was Texas who was being wild, since we were just talking about Texas.
See?
So the Emancipation Proclamation was officially issued and put into effect June 1st, 1863. For those of you who don't know, that's why a lot of Black people celebrate Watch Night, which is July 30, which is usually New Year's Eve, and it was Watch Night because we was praying and watching to be free the next morning. That's where Watch Night comes from. I growing up did not know this is why I grew up in Black church. I didn't know that's why we celebrated Watch Night. I just knew every night.
You better go.
I just found out now.
You better go.
Watching to be free. That's why it's called Watch Night. I just knew every New Year's Eve as a child we was in church praying in the New Year, and we still called it Watch Night. I just didn't know why. So when I moved to a white church, they wasn't doing Watch Night. I was like, Mom, why don't our church do Watch Night? And then she broke down the history for me, and then it was like, that's probably why they don't do Watch Night, because whatever, But Juneteenth wasn't until June 19th, 1865, 2.5 years later, because the Emancipation Proclamation was put into effect 1863, but not every state was really trying to be about it. People were still trying to hold on to their slaves, and the Union wasn't fully enforcing it like they probably should have from the beginning. And then finally, that date is when the last couple of Union troops finally, like Darnell said, made their way down to Texas to really, free those slaves and calm down on that mess. But then we, kept going into Jim Crow, and it still ain't getting no better. They started arresting us, and
they're like, well, we didn't get you one way, we're gonna get you another way.
But that is what why we celebrate Juneteenth, because, like Darnell said, it wasn't necessarily when the Emancipation Proclamation was enacted, but that is when the last of the enslaved people in America, the black enslaved people in America, were finally free, and that is why we celebrate June 19th, aka Juneteenth. I'm getting flowers, even if some little sparklers in my front yard. I'm setting them off.
And remember, we weren't free when they did the Declaration of Independence. We were just
property. We wasn't. So they were just lying. They said all people are created equal because they definitely didn't think that about us.
That was a
lie. But not y'all.
Right.
Except for
not black people, not women, no, just little this you guys right here. Everybody else,
like white males who were property owners.
I'm sorry, all rich white men are created equal.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
That's what they should have said, but they didn't.
So
it didn't have to
I'll
ring.
let you know this. I'll go to a July 4th celebration because I like a good hot sausage and a good burger. But don't expect me to sing no national anthem. Don't be expecting me like this country's so great. We got some work to do. We ain't got time to celebrate. We got work to do.
The thing is, I still will celebrate July 4th, right? And the reason is this. I'm still, as much as America seemed to be hating black people, I still love America because I know as bad as it is here, there's still a lot of other countries I could have been born in that are worse. Keep it a bean.
Some that are better.
Some that are, but I'll take what I can get. I was, I'd rather be here than a lot of other places.
You're gonna pick and choose your battle.
I'm still going to celebrate July 4th, but best believe I'm also going to celebrate Juneteenth.
I'm not sure if I would celebrate July 4th. I recognize that. But also at the time of the inception of this country, there were countries like Great Britain that were abolishing slavery. So it's not like the idea of abolishing slavery.
That's because Great Britain had slaves long enough. Great Britain was older than America. They had slaves long enough. They was like, all right, we done.
I'm just saying what I'm saying.
Pass them off like, oh, here you go. What? No.
Maybe that's
not how this works.
Well, no, Great Britain, they actually made pleas to people who were enslaved and black persons in the country, pretty much saying, hey, if you fight for us, you'll have guaranteed freedom. Because Great Britain, we're about liberty now. We're not doing slavery anymore.
I don't like that if stuff, but all right.
And just remember that the national anthem does say, no refuge could save the hireling and I ain't gonna sing that national anthem.
Oh yeah, the second verse of the national anthem is big trash. Also, apparently, did you know the Ice Cream Truck song was apparently a slave catching song? That's been going on. I wish I had pulled it up beforehand so I could play it for the people, but you just reminded me of that. It was a video going viral that apparently the ice cream jingle was either like a slave catcher song. It was some wild racist stuff. I heard the lyrics. It was really wild.
It was a song. It was a song for it was a racist song, and then it got switched.
Yeah.
To
ice cream.
Just kind of got put
just
a little glitter on it and act like we haven't gotten that topic yet. And then,
but he did. I feel like you was trying to segue, but it was a little early. Go ahead, Camille.
Yeah, and then forget it. See, all Negroes do this every time.
Y'all gotta be nicer. Y'all gotta be nicer and protect our black women. That might be next week's topic because I got some feelings about that as well. I've seen a lot of wild mess.
So was that her name?
Huh?
Her name was Toyin. Her name was Toyin.
Yes.
Yeah. That's sad.
I see the video of some black guys picking up a black woman and throwing her in a dumpster like the very next day. And then I saw the video. For some reason, I don't know the full context. A black guy smacked a black woman in the face with a skateboard. And I'm just like, jeez. We talk about some Black Lives Matter, but we're not even protecting our own women. And it don't make no sense to me. Not even not protecting them. We the ones attacking our own women. But I'm guys. Changing their name and logo.
Imagine getting smacked with a skateboard.
After 130 years.
I think we're about to talk about the thing you started to talk about, Aaron. Forget Aunt Jemima. Forget that old.
I don't have all the facts.
Yeah, that's for next week.
I don't have my thoughts put together enough to have that conversation yet. That's why I want to wait till next week. I need some more time to fester in my feelings on that and my thoughts. All
right,
so let's
talk about the syrup lady.
If you don't know, I'm not even gonna pull it up. If you don't know who Aunt Jemima looked like, then first off, you've been eating nasty pancakes your whole life, and you ain't got no good syrup. Let's just put that out. If you don't know Aunt Jemima, you ain't got good syrup, and your pancakes is trash. I'm just gonna say that. the parent company who owns Aunt Jemima, has finally realized that it looked a little racist to have basically a caricature of a mammy on their pancakes and syrup, and said we're going to change the name and logo and rebrand to something else after forever.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's like all Black people knew that it wasn't right, and like everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, it's not right." Like what?
Yeah, like, so the same channel is finally turned on. Like,
right.
My thing about that is that the parent company of Aunt Jemima, they knew that there was an issue about it, because remember, they changed how she looked for a second.
Oh, she used to look real wild.
She had on the scarf. She looked like she came right out of the South, and now they updated her, gave her a little 80s fro.
She looked like a straight caricature before.
So what they were doing, they essentially were just putting Band-Aids on a gushing wound, and now they were starting to realize, well, I guess we gotta change everything up. I want it to be a sharp Black woman who has her own career, who usually don't cook for her family, but she decided one morning just to bless them, or something of that nature. Or make it.
Why does she have a whole background story?
I want a good background story. She's a successful CEO, and she could afford a nanny, but she doesn't want to do that because she's an independent Black woman.
Or just not have a face at all and just call it
pancake mix,
or you know.
But I feel like it goes hand in hand with like rebranding, like historical trope of the whole thing, because it was based on like a character from history, the whole mammy thing, everything like that. And
no, it was based off of a real person.
He wasn't done.
Well, I wasn't done either, but y'all talked over me.
Anyway,
but go on, Matthew.
Thank you. It's been happening a lot, especially with everything going on. But I saw a couple weeks ago, the movie Gone with the Wind. HBO put out a statement that they're not going to be playing that too much anymore because they had a mammy in it.
I've never seen Gone with the Wind, so I didn't know that.
I've never seen Gone with the Wind.
It's not good.
I just thinking about where Aunt Jemima is rooted in, but my hope is that this is a sign that other brands that have controversial logos and imagery would reconsider and hopefully change that. One that I'm thinking about right now is the Washington Redskins. They need to change their name.
I was going to tell you.
Change the emblem and everything.
Uncle Ben's, the company that owns Uncle Ben's Righty Rice, said they are going to. They said they're going to look into doing the same thing. They haven't explicitly said they're going to change it, but they said they're going to look into it.
Washington Redskins, doing the history of it, first of all, the reason why their skin was red is because they were skinned at the top of their head. And so when they say Redskins, it was pretty much talking about killing a Native American. They need to change their name. There's other institutions in this country that their names, their branding is built off of some racist mess, and they need to change it as well. So good job, Aunt Jemima. But then also remember that we're talking about police brutality in this moment, and that's what we want to see happen is police reform. So
why can't we have other things happen as well?
We can have it all.
We can have it all.
We can have it all.
We want it all, but don't think that y'all can distract us and make us forget about the reason why this all started. Because
look, the reason I say we can have it all is because police brutality and police reform, that's got to come from legislation, right? Aunt Jemima, they don't need no legislation for that. That's one CEO saying we change it. Uncle Ben's, that's one CEO saying we change it. Redskins, that's one owner saying we changing it. They don't need to be. We don't need. That's why I say we can have it all, because it's not the same entities. It's we getting hit from all angles from multiple different entities. So we can be on legislators to do police reform and legislation and the laws and the justice system. We could be on owners and CEOs taking off these wild racist mascots and marketing.
We can change marketing.
Separate entities, and we could be on both their heads.
I actually did see the Redskins are changing their name, but they're changing it to DC Redskins. So obviously they don't care. I saw this. I want to say it was last night. It was like Washington Redskins finally changing their name, and I clicked on it. It was like, yeah, we're going to be the DC Redskins. So it's obviously something going on that they don't care.
But what was their reason for changing it to DC Redskins?
Probably
because everything that's going on, just because they want to.
probably just to stick a big screw you. Be like, no, we're not changing our name. We don't care.
I hope they do.
Angelique brought up a good point, and she says the issue I have with all of this, there were actually people these brands were modeled after, and they're gonna get lost in history again. And the reason I hear you, but only reason I don't agree is because for most Americans, they're already lost to history. No one knows who. I've heard honest to goodness, I've read 4 different articles and heard 4 different types of stories of who Aunt Jemima was. I can't tell you who she was. I've literally published articles from 4 different people. I don't know if anyone knows truly who she was. I don't. So at this point, it's no longer preserving that person's history because no one's telling that person's history. It ain't like on the back or the side of the Aunt Jemima box. It tells you who Aunt Jemima was. Like it's the story of Madam C.J. Walker. We know who Madam C.J. Walker is because her story has been told. No one told Aunt Jemima's story. They just using her as a caricature at this point and just profiting off this caricature of a mammy at this point. That's why I'm saying it can go.
I feel like the problem is that we go and we don't learn this history in school. We don't learn you have people like Black people, Hispanics, Asian people, like Native Americans. There's not an avenue. Well, okay, I would say maybe for public schools they have
they don't. I went to public school up to middle school. They don't.
Valentine has a Black history.
Unless you,
there's some people that have. I know. I'm just saying that there's some schools that have specific clubs for specific cultures.
Mm-hmm.
But I will speak for our private school, I guess, because that's the only school that I know since kindergarten. Is that we got taught what we got taught during Black History Month, and then are expected to look at us like Dr. Martin Luther King. You're welcome. Like what?
Doing that in one person.
And I'm the spokesperson for all Black people. Thanks, guys. But yeah, so we learn a little bit of our history, but not a whole lot. And I think that one of the things that I don't know how, but we should fight for is for that history, for just history period, to be definitely updated and told the truth. So things like this don't get brushed under the rug.
Well, I don't think I feel like Aunt Jemima and really the mammy, the history of what the mammy was, I think that it's important for us to know what it is, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be glorified on the box, just like a Confederate monument does not need to be glorified, in national squares. I think that knowing the overall history, because we probably have ancestors who were mammies, who did raise white children right out of their breast, and
couldn't breastfeed their own kids.
That's our history completely. That's in our bloodline. That's coursing through our veins. So I don't think that that's something that it can be taken away from us. I think that we need to be reintroduced to that and understand that that's something that was a part of the history. But again, it shouldn't be glorified because she was, an Aunt Mammy, Aunt Jemima was still a slave. And that's not where we are anymore. That's not what we're demanding. We're trying to reach for tables and get into rooms that, are much higher than that. And yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
Because you brought up a great point, because we're not there anymore, because we're trying to reach for tables and we're trying to get into rooms. And the other reason that the characters of the mammies, the Uncle Bens, the Aunt Jemimas can still be dangerous in parts of America where maybe not to us as Black people, because we realize that we're not that anymore, but maybe to someone who lives in the back bayou country of Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, wherever, they still see Black people that way. So if they still see it on their favorite pancake mix every morning, that is harmful. That's harmful. It's just harmful. If they still if they still see Black people that way, my favorite pancake mix says it's okay to call you Aunt Jemima, to think of you as a mammy. So I'm gonna still call you Aunt Jemima, and I'm gonna still think of you as a mammy.
The thing is that that's not a new term. Like I've heard someone, I think my hair was looking crazy one day, or I was looking crazy one day, and someone called me, Aunt Jemima looking. Like it's not like it's a new something.
I'm not saying, but I'm saying it needs to be stopped, because imagine if Aunt Jemima changed, if they changed that forever ago, you might not have had an instance where you were called that racial slur, because that's exactly what that is. In that context, that was a slur.
Right.
So you might not have been called that if Aunt Jemima wasn't the name of Aunt Jemima and they changed that 50 years ago. Because then whoever called you that might not even have heard of Aunt Jemima.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So we can still keep the history, and the history needs to be taught. People need to know what happened and what people went through. But it don't need to be glorified for sale on $2.99 at my ShopRite.
Right.
It don't.
Thank you. And I think that looking at what happened with Aunt Jemima's and Mammy's period, it shows how stupid racism is, because one year you have white children literally sucking from the breast of black women, and then after slavery is over, we can't share a toilet. Like I think people need to realize that racism, first of all, has different forms. It shows up in different ways. It changes from generation to generation. And I think Coretta Scott King said it best, that, freedom is something that we have to fight for every generation. And we have to realize what the evil is in this moment and defeat it. And hopefully, maybe this might be the last time. I'm hoping. But, we have to see, it's something that we have to continually work at. We have to remain educated. We have to look into our histories and also try to build a better future because of it.
Yeah.
Other countries have done it. We can probably do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts? We did a lot this episode, people. Like I said, we ain't have no deep discussion topics because the hot topics was the discussion topics this week. Any final thoughts on anything?
I would just say, and I know that we didn't discuss this. This probably could have been a discussion topic.
We out of time.
But for Black people right now, and not to section other people off again, thank you for our white allies and people across the board who have been supporting the Black community in this moment. I just want to remind Black people, remain vigilant, be careful. There have been, and I'll say what it is, it's lynchings. Police departments are trying to say that they're suicides, but that's a whole lot of suiciding happening across multiple states, multiple times over the course of these past few weeks. So just be vigilant. There are people, again, who hate you because of your skin color. And you just have to remember that and just be vigilant what's happening around you. And then overall, I hope that what's happening, the dialogue that's starting in this country that we're having now, it pushes us to a better society that's equal for all men, women, Black, white, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Hispanic, Native American. We all deserve a better country than what we have right now, than what we're getting right now. And so I hope that we're getting to a day where we can actually visualize, and that's actually actualizing and manifesting.
Come on, be Simone, manifest your life.
No, we've been saying manifest, because manifest, that's a church term. Black people be like, watch God manifest. So I know, baby girl.
I just wanted to get the joke in. Black people like to get the joke in. Y'all got any thoughts? Camille, Matt?
Go ahead, Matt.
I thought you said you were going to do final thoughts no more, Matt.
Leave Matt alone.
I'm talking to you already. Just, same thing as always. If you're celebrating Juneteenth or anything coming up, going out, now the outside's open back up, stay safe, have fun. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, definitely stay safe. Rona is still large and in charge. I've seen this one particular restaurant where their outside bar area was packed as if there was no pandemic going on. So, y'all can catch it if you want to, but with no mask. None of them had masks. So just stay safe. Wear your mask. If you can be inside, be inside. I know the outside opened up, but
it's closed again.
It's going to be closed again if we don't do it correctly. So, stay safe.
Juneteenth tomorrow, y'all. Get y'all sparklers ready. I'm gonna get mine. I'm gonna stop at Wally World, give me some sparklers, and have me a good old time.